Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the Awful Pain Iceberg Part 1. This iceberg was made by user equivalent farm 8203. They posted it in the Iceberg Reddit Discord, and I'm going to be covering it for you guys today. Just a quick disclaimer. Yes, the topics that I'm going to be covering aren't exactly kid friendly, so just gonna give you a heads up there. Just gonna quickly go over what an iceberg is. If you guys don't know how an iceberg works, it's usually that there's 5 or 6 layers, each going more common in knowledge, and then as the iceberg goes down, it's harder and harder to know about these things or experience these things. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. This is gonna be part 1. This iceberg has 6 separate layers. I'm gonna be covering the first 3 today. So without further ado, let's get started. For the first layer of the iceberg, I'm just going to quickly go over everything because these are pretty much common knowledge at this point. It's kind of just an introduction of what to expect on the iceberg, so don't expect these entries to be as long as the other ones. Yeah, I think we all know. I think we've all been there. Paper cuts, they suck, especially if for some reason you're eating like a lemon or something with it. Yeah, we've all had paper cuts. They suck. They usually don't go away for a couple of days, but when they do, it's finally over. Nobody likes paper cut, but I feel like it's always been one of those things that have not always been as bad as people say they are, but whatever, that's just my opinion. Next is burning your mouth with hot pizza. Yeah, it's not good, especially if you have like a sensitive mouth to heat. It's pretty bad. Like you'll eat it and it touches the roof of your mouth or something, and then like I don't want to go that further because even I'm squeamish about it, but yeah, wow, now me saying that out loud, maybe I should not be doing this iceberg. Yeah, no, waxing your legs is never it's never fun. It's literally ripping out your hair. I mean, it's like that, but with your legs. It's pretty awful. Not super bad, but yikes, if you're doing it for the first time, it's just gonna absolutely be horrid. Cat scratch, it's pretty obvious. Cat scratches you. People that have cats, they know how this feels. It doesn't last for more than a couple hours usually, so it's not that bad. Depends on the severity of the scratch, I guess, but pretty horrible. Let's keep moving on. Tripping on a plug. Yeah, no, tripping's not fun. This is just really about tripping in general. Tripping on a plug sucks, but tripping on anything really sucks, especially if you're in a public area. When you're in a public area, it's more of a social owie than a physical one. So yeah, just watch where you're going. Biting your tongue. Ooh, biting your tongue is just absolutely worse. I also could put here on the list biting your cheek, because that's literally the same thing. Yeah, no, it's not fun at all, and it's really painful at first, and then thankfully it goes away after a little bit. It doesn't usually last more than a day. But yeah, no, it can really suck because it just completely catches you off guard. Punching a wall. Yeah, most people have never experienced this, but for those who have experienced punching a wall, I guess it wouldn't be comfortable. You could break your knuckles. It's pretty self-explanatory. You punch a wall, it hurts. It depends on what the wall's made of, I guess. But yeah, more often than not, guys, just don't punch walls. People have had problems with stubbing their toe in the past. Everybody's had that problem. And in my opinion, the severity depends very heavily on which toe you stub. More often than not, it's either the big toe or the tiny toe. Big toe, yeah, that sucks, but in my opinion, the tiny toe is even worse. I don't know why, it just is, and it's horrible. You guys have seen that meme where he stubs his pinky toe and it's like sideways. It's like absolutely horrible. No, nobody likes stubbing their toe. It's absolutely horrible. Thankfully though, like most of the stuff on this layer, it doesn't usually last very long. Yes, splinters are definitely a problem. I've definitely had problems with splinters in the past. I've gotten one like under my fingernail. It's just, splinters absolutely horrible. If it doesn't get too deep though, it's usually not too bad, but it does cause a lot of anxiety in my opinion, and that's thus the worst part. But once it's out, it usually heals in a couple of hours, you're good, but it is not fun while it lasts, especially if you're worried about getting like buried under there. Yeah, nobody's really experienced drowning and lived to tell the tale, but those who have probably have not had a great time. Yeah, water filling your lungs is not something that sounds like a desirable thing, but yeah, no, just if you don't know how to swim, make sure you're wearing safety stuff. If you do know how to swim, just make sure there's at least one other person around you. Yeah, no, drowning's not fun. I do not recommend it. Finally, on this layer, we got pricked by a cactus. I feel like anyone that lives in the South has experienced this. I know how I've experienced it. It sucks, especially if it hits a good part of your body. You can get multiple of them. Just absolutely horrible. Yes, cactuses suck, but once you get them all out, you're pretty much good. Just make sure you wash your hands or wherever you got pricked, and you should be fine. Arthritis is a disease that affects your joints and usually involves inflammation or degeneration of your joints. These changes can cause pain when you use the joint. Arthritis is most common in the following areas: feet, hands, hips, knees, lower back. Arthritis is most common in old people. Most young people don't really have to worry about it. I don't look forward to getting it if I ever do, hopefully not. Let's keep going. It's nearly impossible to not experience the pain of stepping on a Lego, or several at some point. It's such a commonly experienced phenomenon that the internet is filled with memes about it. In fact, a single 2x2 brick can withstand up to 4,240 newtons, or in everyday terms, about 950 pounds of pressure. When your foot lands on top of one of these nearly indestructible, sharp-cornered little bricks, there's absolutely zero give, and all of that force is redirected right back into your poor, unsuspecting foot. Most people state that paintballs don't hurt too much, and it usually feels like a firm flick, but this will depend on how fast the ball is going, the distance it travels, and where it hits you on the body. Paintball injuries won't be too extensive, but you should expect a few minor bruises and bumps after paintballing. Everyone has their own pain threshold, so there's no certain answer. Bee stings are a common outdoor nuisance. In most cases, bee stings are just annoying, and home treatment is all that's necessary to ease the pain. But if you're allergic to bee stings, or you get stung numerous times, you may have a more serious reaction that requires emergency treatment. Bee stings can produce different reactions, ranging from temporary pain and discomfort to severe allergic reaction. Having one type of reaction doesn't mean you'll always have the same reaction every time you're stung, or that the next reaction will necessarily be more severe. Yeah, no, I'm not touching this one. A toothache can occur for many reasons, from a popcorn hole stack in your gums to a broken tooth to a bacterial infection. Temporary gum irritation can cause some toothaches, but serious toothaches need more professional treatment. Minor toothaches can occur from a temporary gum irritation that you can treat at home. More severe toothaches result from cavities, infection, or other dental conditions that won't get better on their own. If you have a severe toothache, you'll need a professional dental treatment immediately. Other liquid substances like water don't cause pain when applied to cuts, so that explains why alcohol hurts you, and the answer lies in the lowering of VR1 receptors. VR1 receptors are a special kind of cell in your skin that respond to heat. Studies have shown that ethanol, which is a kind of alcohol, causes skin cells to put out the same neurochemical signals they put out when heat is around. The result is that it doesn't take as much actual heat from the VR1 to turn on. Researchers have found that the alcohol lowers the amount of heat needed to turn on VR1 receptors by almost 10 degrees. Sunburn is inflamed, painful skin that feels too hot to the touch. It often appears within a few hours of being in the sun too long. You can get sunburn relief with simple self-care measures such as taking pain relievers and cooling the skin, but it may take a few days for the sunburn to fade. Preventing sunburn year-round by wearing sunscreen or using other skin protection habits is important for everyone. Sunburn is caused by too much exposure to ultraviolet light, aka UV light, and it may be from the sun or artificial sources, such as sun lamps and tanning beds. Excessive sun exposure, even without sunburn, increases your risk of skin cancer, such as melanoma. It can damage the DNA of the skin cells, so just be careful when you're outside. A boiling water burn can cause immediate pain. Treatment includes stopping contact as soon as possible, moisturizing the area, and proper wound care. Sometimes boiling water burns are deliberate, such as during an assault involving pouring or throwing the water. Deliberate burns are especially dangerous because they may cover more of the body than burns from accidental spills. Symptoms of a first-degree burn include immediate pain that may last for several hours, pink or red skin peeling as the burn heals, and dry-looking skin. We all have painful experiences throughout our lives, but most of us have had our finger smashed by a door at least once. It can be incredibly painful, and it can even result in some serious damage if not treated properly. The first thing you should do after smashing your fingers in a door is ice the injury. Quickly put on an ice pack to your fingers to help numb the pain and help lessen the swelling. Don't panic if your hand throbs and hurts, as the quicker your heart is racing. The more blood will rush to your fingers, and that will only make the pain worse. Falls are among the most common causes of injury in the United States and the most common causes of traumatic brain injuries. While some stair falls result in obvious head injuries or hip fractures that necessitate an emergency room visit, it's sometimes hard to know whether a fall down the stairs is serious enough to require medical attention. Many stair-related injuries don't necessitate a visit to a hospital or emergency department, but they may need medical attention at some point. Stair-related injuries to your lower body are the most common injuries, followed by injuries to your head and neck, sometimes causing sprains. It can be very painful to tear or rip out your nail from the nail bed. After a nail separates from the nail bed, for whatever reason, it will not reattach. A new nail will have to grow back in its place. The thing is though, nails grow back really slowly. It takes about 6 months or even longer for a fingernail, and up to 18 months for a toenail to grow back. It's pretty self-explanatory how painful this sounds. Whiplash is a neck injury due to forceful, rapid back and forth movement from the neck, like the cracking of a whip. Whiplash is commonly caused by rear-end car accidents, but whiplash can also result from sports accidents, physical abuse, and/or other types of traumas such as a fall. Whiplash may be called a neck sprain or strain, but these terms also include other types of neck injuries. Most people with whiplash get better within a few weeks by following a treatment plan that includes pain medication and exercise. However, some people have chronic neck pain and other long-lasting complications. Most people agree getting tattooed hurts, but factors like pain tolerance and the body part being tattooed can affect your experience. Getting a tattoo involves piercing your skin repeatedly with a super sharp needle, so it makes sense that it tends to hurt. The most painful body parts to tattoo are typically the bony areas and those with the most nerve endings, thin skin, and little fat. That's why tattoos on your upper and lower back might be a breeze, but your ribcage and armpit will be that much worse. Choking happens when an object lodges in your throat or windpipe, blocking the flow of air. In adults, a piece of food is usually to blame. Young children often choke on small objects. Choking is life-threatening. It cuts off oxygen to your brain, so make sure to give first aid as quickly as possible if you or someone else is choking. If you're alone and choking, call 911 and your local emergency number right away. Then give yourself abdominal thrusts, also called the Heimlich maneuver, to remove the stuck object. A third-degree burn destroys the first 3 layers of skin and fatty tissue. Third-degree burn may not immediately hurt, but you'll notice your skin is charred black, dry, and leathery. This type of burn is serious and requires treatment by a healthcare provider. Your healing times vary based on the size and the location of the burn. A third-degree burn damages the top layer of your skin, epidermis, the middle layer, dermis, and the layer of fat underneath your skin, hypodermis. A third-degree burn can also damage your sweat glands, hair follicles, and nerve endings. The Iceberg didn't specify how you get hurt by broken glass, but the most common type of injury from it is either getting cut by a big blade or stepping on broken glass. Both are extremely painful for the same reason, being that it impales your skin. If it enters your body, that's when it really gets serious. After being punched, it may be hard to tell if your nose is broken. Swelling can make your nose look crooked, even if it's not. When the swelling goes down after a few days, it's easier to tell if your nose is really crooked. Most doctors prefer to check an injured nose soon after the swelling has gone down. Sometimes testing may be needed, such as X-ray or CT scan of the head, if the doctor thinks you have another facial injury or fracture. Starvation is a severe deficiency in caloric energy intake below the level needed to maintain an organism's life. It is the most extreme form of malnutrition. In humans, prolonged starvation can cause permanent organ damage and eventually death. The beginning stages of starvation impact mental status and behaviors. These symptoms show up as irritable mood, fatigue, trouble concentrating, and preoccupation with food thoughts. People with these symptoms tend to be easily distracted and have little to no energy. The muscles begin to become smaller and muscle wasting sets in. Tiredness and dizziness also commonly occur, especially from any physical task. The skin is often overly pale, and one prominent sign in children is a swollen belly. Skin loosens and turns pale in color, and there may be swelling of the feet and ankles. Although bones are rigid, they do bend or give somewhat when an outside force is applied. However, if the force is too great, bones will break, just as a plastic ruler breaks off when it's bent too far. The severity of a fracture usually depends on the force that caused the break. If the bone's breaking point has been exceeded only slightly, the bone may crack rather than break all the way through. If the force is extreme, such as that caused by an automobile crash or gunshot, the bone may shatter. Fractures take several weeks to several months to heal, depending on the extent of the injury and how well you follow your doctor's advice. Pain usually stops long before the fracture is solid enough to handle the stresses of normal activity. Well, there we go, guys. That was the Awful Pain Iceberg Part 1. Like it if you guys want to see Part 2. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.